right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. As regular listeners to the show know, I'm obviously, spend most of my time interviewing bands that are currently active and, currently have records out or playing shows or touring or things like that. But when I can, I like to kind of go back in time and do sort of I don't want to call them reunion episodes, but I guess this is a reunion episode with the bands that I like, that I've listened to and still listen to many years after they become defunct. And I think that the band in this case is, I say it all the time and people don't really know what to make of it, but I think the Quiffs are my favorite local band ever. Like, I really, really still love the record. I was listening to it today and I saw you live, at least 10 times, I think, over the whatever amount of period you were a band. And yeah, it's just a really, really cool project that for some reason I don't think has really received as much credit as it deserves for being, just a really great Winnipeg band. So I think that the easiest way to start this off, because there's so many of us here, is if the four of you want to introduce yourselves and what you did in the band, and then we can sort of just take it from there. So I'm going to start with Erica, because you were on the show most recently in a different episode, and people might remember that one. So if you want to start off, we'll go from there.
I'm Erica. I guess I was the lead singer of the Quiffs, and I wrote some songs, and that's what I did.
I play guitar
poorly, but I did it, and I did it with conviction.
You're awesome.
Awesome. Okay, who's next?
Okay, I'll go. I'm Alana. I was the drummer, and yeah, I guess you could call it that. I learned to drum for the band, so that's it. It worked out, I think. I did okay. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
You also wrote some songs.
Oh yeah. There's a couple.
And I would say it's fair to say that we all learned, well, Jill knew her instrument more than the rest of us, but most of us learned our instruments while being members of the Quiffs.
That's awesome.
That's true.
I actually have some questions about that, but let's just finish the introductions first. So I don't know, Jill, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Jillian. I played guitar for the band, and I actually knew my instrument better before I joined the Quiffs. I wrote a couple songs too. I wrote Pee Wee in Space. That was good, our starter song.
Good. I'm Megan. I was the tambourine come bass player. Originally tambourine and the bass player for the Quiffs. Also didn't know how to play either of those instruments before joining the Quiffs.
Well, I think there's a steep learning curve for tambourine, right? It's one of those instruments that requires a lot of practice. But that kind of element of not knowing how to play your instruments, I think that's what I liked about it. Like, I mean, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think that kind of rawness and the obviously figuring it out as you went along was sort of part of the appeal. And I think that, like, if you had all been super adept at your instruments, it wouldn't have been as good. Like, there would have been too much, maybe almost overthinking in some of the songs, and that kind of just like emotional kind of release of bashing around on some stuff and making noises and screaming wouldn't have come through, I don't think.
Well, I think the very fact that we didn't really know what we're doing, especially in terms of, like, I guess, especially with Erica, and Alana with songwriting, like, a lot of our boyfriends who are in bands and our friends who are in bands were like, how did you even make that work? Because it doesn't make any sense. And we don't even, like, what time signature? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just 798. What?
Yeah, what? We just play it. It's what it sounds like. I don't know. Erica
I always thought it was part of a product of Erica playing the trumpet too. That you played the trumpet and it's such a complicated instrument and has such complicated sounds in it, and then you want to go and play like garage rock or punk. Like, it's, how does that translate? Like
yeah.
Well, I think that's how I first heard the Quiffs, though, is what you're saying. Like, I mean, I've known Erica since kindergarten, and we played in Grandpa's Army together in the late 90s and stuff. And it was like, oh, Erica has a new band. Cool, let's check it out. Not having any clue what kind of thing it was going to be. And then it was like, whoa, Erica has a new band. This is great. It was just sort of so completely unexpected. And that I think that was part of the appeal too. It's just like, holy shit, this is crazy. This is really kind of not what I expected at all. But how long was the band even around for? Because I know I tried to go to see you as much live as I could, and I definitely went to a lot of shows. But what was the actual time frame?
Our last show was in 2006.
Yeah.
And So pre-Alana, we had 2 shows, and then there was
In
a year gap.
02.
Pardon me?
In 02, Jill and I were looking at albums yesterday, and in my photo albums, the first Quiff show was in 02.
So it was 02 to 06. So it was only 4 years.
Right.
Which is actually pretty long.
That is a long time, actually. Yeah. And you have that one record, and then you have an EP that came out too. And like, that's one of those things that I've had. I mean, people who know me know that I hoard local music. I tend to, like, wherever I can find it, I keep it and I save it all because I'm whatever. But like, that is one of those things that I have that people are always shocked to see that I have this thing. Like, why did you hold on to this weird CDR that has like a handmade cover? The thing I kind of like about that is the fact that, like, none of this stuff we're in this weird era now where everything's available at the click of a button, but you can't find the Quiffs anywhere, right? Like, they're not on any of the streaming services. The CDs are long gone from stores. How weird is it to be in a band that, you know, you have these memories and people might know you from this band, and then it's just been weirdly erased from existence in an era where everything exists forever.
It's definitely weird, for sure. Like, I don't know, with the way that everything can just go viral, and like Kate Bush is charting right now, you know, like things are just can be so crazy. So like, we never had a label, we never had anyone doing that for us, and when we were done, that was it, you know. And I don't think any of us has really thought about, I don't know, at least for myself, it never occurred to me to put the Quiffs on Spotify, because what? Like, who's looking for us, right? But I don't know, it definitely, it feels like it happened in a completely different world, for sure.
Yeah.
We really just missed that horrible social media explosion. Thank God.
By like a year, you were right at the cusp of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at our house, it's kind of funny because Sandy's has all sorts of material online constantly, always. And it's like, you're in a band, but you can't be in a band. I don't see you all over online, or you don't have these videos to show me and stuff. So it's like, today my kids are like, oh, you really do have a band? Like, you were lying. It's like, oh, it wasn't a joke. And it's like, yeah, the people want to talk about the band. So yeah, it's so weird.
We live on in the weirdest way. Like, I had this strange moment when I started at a rather professional work employment opportunity not long ago, where I walked in and it was my first day, and within about a minute and a half, this person came running from their cubicle to mine and said, "It's Erica Jacobson from the Quiffs."
Oh my.
I was like, oh. I didn't really know if people should know that here.
Well, that's maybe like something to bring up too, is that, like, you know, you just missed this era of everything being documented and saved forever and you can't escape it. But I mean, do you think the Quiffs would have done well in the social media era, in the sense of, like, you know, your shows are pretty theatrical? I mean, you know, the music, I liked it, but I left something to be desired sometimes, for sure, because of the amateurness of it. But like, the shows were crazy. Like, there was, you know, there was props, and I mean, I remember at least a couple shows where you would be on the floor moaning long after the band had finished playing. You know what I mean? And so, like, do you think something like that could have caught on? Like, did you just miss your moment potentially to get like some weird viral video and I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know if we would have been that way if we knew we were being recorded.
Yeah.
We were all pretty straight-laced. Like, I was teasing us beforehand that, like, we were all texting beforehand, make sure we get on, you know, on time for our interview. Like, we were all like good kids who wanted to have fun and play in a band. We weren't really rock and roll. Like, we partied, but like, we were on time for practices. We were on time for shows. Yep. If we thought that, like, you know, like, I don't think I would have done some of the stuff I did if I thought that it was being recorded forever and ever.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, and it was always
like nailed that on the head, for sure.
It's always about having fun. I think for us was a huge part of it. I mean, the real start of the band was Erica saying, "Why do all these boys get to have fun? We want to have fun." And then, "Hey, Jill, we booked a show. We've got a show in 2 weeks." I was like, "We don't even have a band yet. No one knows how to play instruments. What are we gonna do?" So we don't have it's like, anyways, yeah. So I feel like the start of it was all, we just want to have fun, and I feel like that was sort of a huge part of just. So I think if we did all that social media or something took off, it almost would have gotten too serious, at least for the start of the band and where we were at the time, at least.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted.
Right, yeah, you obviously wanted to do it just to, like, was it just like a cathartic sort of, you get to basically stand on stage for half an hour and, you know, scream ridiculous things and bash out like sort of punk garage, whatever you want to call it?
Yes. Yes. I would say for myself, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I think the band definitely saved me from getting that out in other ways.
Sure. Sure, yeah. Well, where does that sound come from, though? I mean, I know part of it is, yes, you're learning the instruments, and that's kind of one of the easiest sort of styles to break into. But I mean, you had something, whatever it was, there was a Quiff sound. Like, were any of you listening to stuff that would have really influenced that, or did it just sort of, is that just naturally what you create when the four of you are in a room together?
I think it's like a combo. I don't know. All of us listen to such different things, you know, like really across the board. You've got Erica and her Miles Davis, you know, and it's just like, I think it was the beauty of the four of us just coming together and like maybe not having the best equipment, but it all put together sounded really awesome. And you know, I don't think we can discount the pig nose either for the contribution that amp made.
They'll have it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So good.
That's awesome. Do you listen to, have any of you listened to it recently? Like, have you actually, do you revisit this often, or is it, yeah? How does it sound to you now?
I wouldn't say often, but I think we all listened to it yesterday.
Yeah, of course.
We all listened to it yesterday.
Well, how does it sound now? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel about it when you kind of, you know, because it's been what, 15 years or so, right? Like, or
so much better than I remembered. So much better than I remembered. I had such a, like, I think it's just been so long. And, you know, like I listen to other, you know, I listen to American Flamenco and HLG and other stuff from that time, but I don't really, we're not on Spotify, so it doesn't come up. I had to like load software onto my Xbox so that it's the only disc drive I had in the house that could play a CD player. And then we were so good. We sounded so bonkers. That song's Psycho. What were we thinking? What a crazy album that is. I just loved it so much. I loved it so much.
It's so well produced. Like I forget that, you know, when I revisit it, I'm like, that's right. Jill kept pushing for a pro sound. We had to sound pro, but we did. Like Jared did such a good job. We worked our butts off. We were in a real studio. Like, yeah. Erica screaming in a closet. Like it was.
Remember the curtain?
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I'm saying, don't look at me.
That's got to be weird, right? Some of those lyrics, doing those just on your own, that's got to be very strange.
It was bizarre because actually Jared made me write lyrics.
Okay.
So when we were recording the album, in all the bands I've been in, I'm not a huge lyric writer. Like, and I have trouble talking about feelings and those kind of things in front of other people. So when it comes to like pouring your heart out, even if it's screaming at someone, I'm more comfortable telling you you're welcome for being here because you deserve it. You paid your $5. Good job. But like, you want me to write some lyrics that make a song, you know, enjoyable for other people. I don't know how to do that. So I remember Jared like sitting me down at one point and saying, you have to write some lyrics. Like people are going to hear the words. You can't just yell random stuff here. So that's where like 2/3 of Gluten Free actually was in about 8 seconds because we had a very short period of time to record it. And I was like, well, these things rhyme and they're true, so I'll do it.
And then just fill the rest with the woo-woos and you're good, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the song we took up the most time with at the end of sets was Gluten Free and just woo-wooing.
Yeah.
That was fun.
With no instruments, just for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that fondly. But that song was really good. I mean, of all the songs I think on the record, like that one has always stood out as it's super catchy. Like it has this great hook to it and stuff. And it almost sucks that, I mean, I know that like what you said earlier about sort of if it had been something that people were watching, it maybe wouldn't have been so great. But like it's almost a bummer that song never got heard by, I don't know who the right people are, but the right people, you know, and maybe it did get heard by the right people. And those, you know, 50 people or whatever, that's enough, right? I'm not sure, but has there ever been
very satisfied with our sales? We sold all of our CDs, all 500 that we printed.
Really? Well, that's actually really good. Yeah, 500. So
I still have like 20 in a closet. I still
what? I could use a copy. I only have the one.
Sure. I only have a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one, but if you have any other ones, I'll take them off your hands. I know people can get it.
Sell them for like $100 a pop.
Yes, you should sell them online. Yeah.
I used to do it for trade at Music Trader. I would bring them in and just use it for trade.
Awesome. Has there ever been, like, I mean, I know forgetting the Spotify and all that crap, like, has there ever been any desire to put these songs back out there in any other form? Have you ever considered reissuing them and, you know, putting the CD back out or something like that?
I've thought about vinyl. Like, if, you know, it's like a thought that I had that I don't think I've expressed to anyone, but like, it would be nice to re-release it, you know, maybe the 20th anniversary or something, and do something to just bring attention to it. You know, we worked our butts off and we were awesome. I love that band. I'm always gonna love that band. Like, my mom's still embarrassed about the band name, and that will be a joy for me forever. She called us the Quirks, and that's just great. She can't even accept, you know, vagina fart. She can't.
Right.
No. So I don't know.
So yeah, that would be super cool. I mean, I as someone who would definitely buy a copy, I like that idea.
I want a copy.
Yeah.
Like, I second Alana's thoughts for sure, and I think that we could sell a certain amount. I certainly wouldn't be worried about making profit at that point. It would be like order.
Yeah.
You just print the minimum amount you can print, and then hope that enough people buy them, and then maybe they will, or maybe you play one show as 45-year-old women.
Yeah.
You know, to sell the crap out of that record.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I don't think current Winnipeg music scene would be know what to expect when you saw a Quiffs show. I think.
Well, it maybe would be a little too safe. It would be a solid 18 minutes.
Oh yeah,
at a reasonable time. At a reasonable time.
Yeah, it started at 7 or something.
Yeah. I gotta be home by like midnight.
Yeah, I'll be in bed by 10.
For sure.
I'll have a nap before.
Yeah. Do some napping.
Were there any songs that weren't recorded? Like, did you have everything? I mean, over the album, and then there was that 3 songs
thing? Did we record Size Matters?
No.
I think that's the only one.
Yeah, and if it wasn't recorded, I don't even remember it. Like, I don't remember that at all.
We sang Bison a lot too. I mean, it wasn't our song, but it could have been fun to have a little recording of that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm always a little bit sad that Sunshine and Deep Throat didn't quite get the polished recording that the others did, because despite my 40-year-old shock at the lyrics to Deep Throat when I heard them yesterday, I was like, oh my God, we sang this song. My parents came to these shows. Like, I was shocked. But that was still one of my favorite songs to play, and so was Sunshine. And it makes me a little bit bummed that they didn't quite get the same love that the other ones did in recording, you know, because they are in my opinion, two of my favorite Quiffs songs.
Yeah, they're great songs.
I'm glad we got them on the EP, but
yeah.
We were pretty belligerent
about with that EP for sure.
Sorry, what was that, Alana?
Sandy did an amazing job with that EP for sure. But yeah, Megan, I agree. It would have been nice to hear our progression in the same recording quality. Yeah. You know, because we definitely come pretty far as musicians just in that short time.
We for sure had, but we also, during that, I don't know if you guys remember, but during when we did the EP, we were pretty belligerent about being raw sounding.
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
We might have made our own bet on that one.
Yeah, I think Sandy's idea was I wanted to do more, but you were very persistent. All of you were persistent. That it had to be one take, like it had to be like off the floor.
When we were listening to the album yesterday, and then Space came on that final track, and it
The
has
secret
that
song.
great echo at the end. And I was telling my husband about how funny it was that that was the only effect that we would let Jared put on the whole time. He was trying to convince us to do this, that, and the other. We were like, no, we just want the amp sound, nothing but that. And finally at the end, we let him put this echo on this space sound, and like we're like, fine, it's about space, fine. We were just so stubborn.
Yes.
So stubborn.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, he was trying so hard to add Jaredness.
Polished production.
Yeah.
It might be the most recent CD I have that has a secret song on it. Like, I think at that point, those weren't a thing anymore. And then suddenly...
That was on purpose.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
We were like, nobody does these anymore. Let's do one.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that there's a secret song. And that we included Pluto. We didn't care that it was no longer allowed to be a planet. We still included it.
It still was.
Was it at that point?
When we wrote it was, but by the time we recorded it, it wasn't, you know, like
that. Yeah.
Details.
Yeah, Pluto deserves to be on there, I think.
Poor little guy out there on its own.
Yeah, it's still a planet. I still consider it a planet. But are any of you playing music now? Like, is this? I know that like some of you for sure have gone into other things, you know, before and after the Quiffs. But is anyone actively playing in bands at this point?
Not currently. Like, that's not going to be permanent. But I'm out in Campbell River.
Okay.
With my sister and my niece, so it's a little hard to set up a stack and play when there's a 4-year-old.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Or is the Quiffs the high point of everyone's musical careers?
Sandy and I have a joke pandemic band that we recorded a song before the pandemic that we carried into the pandemic. We play Nirvana at home, which is fun. And we're called Ball and Chain. I'm Ball, he's Chain.
Okay, right on.
Beautiful.
That's about it though.
My husband and I also have a band. We're called Governor and the Super Cop.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Do we write songs that actually get recorded? No. But sometimes we drink too much wine and play loud guitar, and it's really fun, and it's a date night whenever Roxy gets to sleep over at a grandparent's house. But there's hope to play in bands soon. I feel like I don't want to speak for anyone else, but when you're around little children, it's tricky.
Of course, yeah.
The logistics, like, we love our kids, but you know, you can't just throw them in a bin. You gotta get some care for them.
For yourself.
You're keeping each other busy, Jill.
I know.
I guess like at what age are you cool with showing your kids, those of you who have kids, the Quiffs record? Like, I mean, is there
5? That's when my kid heard it yesterday.
Yeah. Might have heard it.
Does anyone like the Quiffs?
Sure.
Amelia did.
Yeah.
My kid loves rock and roll. She's all about I put on Heart today. Barracuda came on. Dun, 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 and she was like, yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Because I feel like, subject matter aside on some of the songs, you know, I think the kids could probably get into it. Like, it has that kind of really simplistic kind of feel to it, and it's fast and yelly, and like, you know, I mean, my oldest kid's a teenager now, and I would love if she was in the band like the Quiffs, but I mean, I can't force her to do that. But I think I can slowly start putting it in the car more often and just see if it works. She plays a euphonium now, so that's not really the right instrument, but you never know.
Oh, she's gonna be in a Grandpa's Army type band first.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's where we all end up, right?
Baby steps.
maybe. So okay, obviously at this point there's nowhere to find the Quiffs record. I'm gonna put a bunch of songs on this episode, but like, I guess, what do you think is it sounds weird to say the legacy of the Quiffs, but you know, at this point now, I mean, you know, you're looking back on this that happened a long time ago. Things have changed in everyone's lives. You know, the world is different. What does it feel like now to look back and say, I was in this crazy band that wrote these insane songs? And there's like, you know, even though it's not easy to find, it is documented, and there's this kind of solid remembrance of having been in that band. Like, do you feel good about it? It seems like it. It seems like everyone's pretty pumped about having been in the Quiffs.
Yeah, that's definitely, you know, like, there's I work at a racetrack right now, like a speedway, and there's teenagers that work there, and there's one that found out about the Quiffs and is just so excited. I got to find a CD for her. So there's that kind of thing where it's like, doesn't matter how old it gets, people still appreciate it. Or I'll still hear from people, you know, like guys in Gruyere. When I was out in Ontario last, forever ago, you know, they were like, wait a minute, the Quiffs, and they remember Erica touring with Putrescence and handing those CDs out, and they both got one and were listening to them, and it, like, it's that kind of thing that it doesn't go away. It'll always be there. We always did that. We always had that contribution to the music scene that you can't take away. I know.
Awesome.
I'm always proud of it.
That's a really good way to put it, I think. And just before I let you go, the one thing I wanted to ask about, I was listening to the record today. Again, I listen to it a lot, but Mutant Legs came on, and for some reason, like, what is? I mean, the song is obviously about mutant legs, but every time you yell "mutant legs," I just start laughing. Like, what? Where did that come from? Where does that song come from? Is there a story behind it?
It's the best story.
Okay, so Quiffs iteration 1 happened, and then I went on this trip with myself, and I met Megan up there. Anyways, I was away for like a year from Winnipeg, traveling and working and whatever. Then I went and met my brother in New York on the way back to Winnipeg, and we got bed bugs in the hostel we were staying at, and my legs just like exploded with red welts, like everywhere. I actually found the photograph I took of my legs today, minutes before this meeting.
That's great.
And I was like, mutant legs. And so I wrote the song, and then I needed to yell something. So mutant legs.
Mutant legs, right
so
on.
Funny.
Do you remember that horrible show where you shoved tomatoes down your pantyhose after you just shaved your legs, and you had those horrible acid burns? We had to like rip your pantyhose off after the show in the bathroom.
You were literally delirious.
Oh, very painful.
I think there's a picture of that in our CD lining. Your leg.
There it is. Mutant legs, tomatoes, and green stockings under a wedding dress on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We did the whole show when they were under there. And then when you ripped them up, they were so funny. But you were so delirious, and we're in the bathroom with the Albert trying to rip them off you, and you're like, ah, my legs are burning. Oh, it's the funniest thing that's ever happened.
Oh, that was good. Yep.